Welcome to another fantastic episode of Small Business Celebrations Meat and Potatoes, the show where we do a deep dive, get into the nitty-gritty of business in an art gallery. Yes, we are, where we have a good time talking about the inner workings of business on a single subject, where we do a deep dive, but we couldn't do this without our presenting sponsor and our location sponsor. At Oliver & Associates Real Estate, we know that buying or selling a home isn't just a transaction, it's a life moment. That's why they're committed to building relationships that last. They take the time to truly understand your needs, your dreams, your stories, so they can find you not just a house, but a home. Give Oliver & Associates a call at 661-808-3444 or check them out at yourrealtor.us today. Today's Meat and Potatoes episode location is brought to you by Modern Gigi Gallery, an ultra-modern art gallery located in downtown Bakersfield, California, featuring the artworks of the modern abstract artist Johnny Ramos. Whether you're looking for artwork for your office, your home, or a postcard you can send as a thank you note, go to Modern Gigi Gallery located at 918th Street in Bakersfield, or give them a call at 661-374-7724 or email them at art@moderngigi.com today. Welcome to Small Business Celebration Meat and Potatoes, and in this particular episode, we're going to be talking about the one question the internet has been asking. Does it really take you 6 months to eat a cow? We're also going to be talking about, on a serious note, teaching your children the business. And our guest this week is Jack Lavers, the owner of Lavers Ranch. Welcome to Small Business Celebration Meat and Potatoes Live.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I had a great time last time. Look forward to it this time.
The location was great. We went up to Glenville, we got to play with your dog, and we got to see a lot of great stuff. It was a lot of fun.
We had a great time. I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you guys coming up and getting to show everybody around the world that, hey, this is what's going on at this place right here. This is a historical area, and we're still here.
And it's a working cattle ranch.
It's a working cattle ranch, and we're still here, still doing it. It's still a little bit of the Wild West at times.
6 generations.
Yes.
6 generations. And so let's get the hard stuff out of the way first. Okay. So how long does it take a family of 4, because you said this on the main show.
Yeah.
How long does it take a family of 4 to eat a cow from nose to tail?
It varies from family to family.
So the internet has told us.
So the family that's going to get really serious, probably 6 months or so. I eat beef literally almost. Well, I say literally every day.
Right.
And I could probably go through one with my family in 6 months pretty easily.
So one of the questions that did come up is you've got all these cattle, and then you've got this service that comes out, so they shoot videos so that they can figure out, or the buyers for the auctions can go through and pick which cattle they want and that sort of thing. But do you sit there and go, yeah, our family gets that one?
So I actually don't raise my own beef anymore.
Really?
And part of the reason we stopped doing that was the cost.
Really?
And so because
going back to cost again, it costs you more to eat the cow?
It does. When you start figuring out all those cuts that you don't necessarily want, because generally what happens is somebody buys all this extra amount of meat that they really, and from nose to tail,
right?
They buy pieces that they don't normally eat or don't like. And so those end up sitting in the freezer longer and eventually go bad.
Right.
And so that was kind of happening with us on some things. We wouldn't eat everything. We went straight for the steaks. We go for the hamburger. Those are the easy things. And you're starting to go through the roast in the winter and fall, and just over and over depending on when you processed your animal.
Right.
And so you do all these things, but you still have some left over. So in the long run,
and it starts turning green.
Well, hopefully not in the freezer. Better check your temperature. If you got green stuff in there, I'm a little bit worried. On a level, you should go see a doctor. In fact, if you know anybody, go to Aventus Health. My wife can get you right in. But so what happened is it's easier and cheaper for me to go and buy higher end steaks of what I want. Right. I love New York's. I'm not a huge fan of ribeyes. I do love ribeyes still, but not as much as I love a New York or a filet.
Right.
And so it's just cheaper for us to go do that and a bunch of hamburger. And if we want something else at a different time, we can go buy roasts from the store as well.
Right.
And so in the long run, it's cheaper that way for us.
Right. Now, one of the other things that really struck a chord with the online audience is when you started talking about your daughter
Yeah.
And how old? And first of all, what's her name?
Reagan.
Reagan.
Yeah.
And how old is she?
She's 13.
She's 13, junior high.
Yeah, going into 8th grade here in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you talked about was helping her learn basic life skills, because a horse isn't going to do what you want it to do. A cow is not going to do what you want it to do, how to open a gate and that sort of thing. These are all fundamental basics of life. But one of the other things that comes closer to home is you're already teaching her the business.
Yeah.
Generation 7.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that came up talks about the conversation you had with your wife. When does that start? Teaching your daughter and younger son, I presume, on the skills that they need to learn in order to be able to take over the business. What was that conversation like?
Well, the first thing is you got to take your kids with you once in a while. And on a ranch, we have that ability better than other jobs can.
Right.
But it's important that you do it and you make the time to do that. They have to learn how to drive a vehicle early. I was 2 years old, sitting on my knees, steering the truck when it was in first gear, low range, and my dad's in the back feeding hay in snowstorms. We're feeding hay.
You're 2 years old.
I'm 2 years old. And my dad always told a story that, hey, I was heading towards an big water oak tree in a flat, and my dad kept saying, watch that tree, Jack, watch that tree. And I kept going, and then got a little closer, and Jack, watch the tree, and got a little closer, and then it was, watch the tree.
You learned new words.
And he said he was getting ready to bail out and grab me out of the pickup, and he said I slowly went around it. I'm in first gear and 4 wheels, so it's just creeping. 410 gears, they just creep along.
Right.
And went around it, and he said I stuck my head out the window and said, I saw it. And I was probably 3 or 4 then when that happened. I was also, a buddy and I, Shelby, Charlie and I were in the truck one time when we decided to punch the gas pedal, and he was on the floor working the pedals and I was driving the steering wheel, and I was threw my dad out the back of the truck. So we got whipped for that one, but but we were there learning at that young age. And that's kind of the process that you have to start. You're sitting horseback and you're bundled up and you're warm in a snowstorm riding a colt, or not, I wasn't riding a colt, riding a horse, and you're still cold.
Right.
But you get tough and you figure it out. You're not freezing. You've been bundled up. Your parents look out for you and they take care of you.
Right.
But you're going through that and you're experiencing it. And then something kind of fun happens. You get to run around a little bit, or you're sliding down a hill and the horse is doing just fine. You're not worried about it. And you learn from that experience and you have fun with it and you go, this is great. And you start to enjoy those things more and more. So you want to do them more and more. And that's really kind of the start. And it's going down and doing chores. We got a 3-wheeler when I was a kid, and my dad would always have to kind of make me go do the chores.
Right.
Well, once I had the 3-wheeler, like, can I take the 3-wheeler? Yeah, go ahead. And I'd run it across the road to the barnyard, where right there across from the house, and
right.
I'd run it. I had a track going around the corrals and jumps every once in a while, the piles of manure, and make it into a jump, and I just had a blast, and I loved doing the chores then.
Right.
But it was kind of a little bit of incentive. My daughter has a side-by-side. She's been driving it down to the corral since she was about 6 or 7. I've been letting her drive it, and by herself about 8 or 9. And so she's learned that independence and that confidence to be able to go do that. And I can go down there and check on it and be like, you did a really good job. Right. Or you didn't do a good job, and here's why you're in trouble, and this is why you got to fix it. And so they learn.
There's also the business side of things.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things to work in your business and something else to work on your business.
Yeah.
At what point do you start teaching your daughter to say, these are the cattle that are going to sell because, and these are the cattle that won't because? And you start teaching her supply and demand. You start teaching her cost-benefit analysis. It's a lot more interesting at that age, but it's those lessons that you start teaching them so that they understand why you make the decisions that you make. When does that start?
I think that starts really early, because inevitably you're going to walk with your child down the street past a store and they're going to say, I want that. Or you're going to go through the grocery store and, can I have that? And it's the same thing in agriculture when they see a horse. Why can't I have that one? Well, that one's $35,000 and we don't have $35,000 to spend on a horse. Or, well, why didn't you buy that bull? Well, that bull went for $40,000 and our budget was $10,000.
Do you explain why it's a $40,000 bull?
Yeah, and you you try to explain it to the best that they can understand,
Right.
the breeding, the genetics. At the younger ages, they're not going to understand it 100%, but you're going, that's a nicer bull. But I didn't show cattle like FFA like most other kids probably do. But my dad would always, at every bull sale or everything that we did, would say, look at this, and this is what I'm looking for, and this is why. And he used kind of the show lingo, I guess, to describe it all to me. But then this is why this works for us practically on the ranch in real world situation. Because a show animal is not necessarily going to be something necessarily that you can bring straight up to a ranch and have it survive and do well.
Right.
It's like a little show dog that dog's not bred to hunt.
Right.
You know, and so those kind of things where you can sit there and explain it. And so it's important for my daughter and now my son at 6. He's 6, he may still be outside playing with the other kids in the dirt during the whole bull sale. Right. But he's starting to get that interest where he wants to see and he wants to watch and he wants to look and he wants to evaluate. And he goes, that's a good looking one. And this and that. And he'll say it, man. Today, we went and picked up a steer from a neighbor, brought it back, dropped it off in the corrals and we were feeding hay. And he goes, man, these are a good looking lot of calves. He doesn't know.
Well, it sounds good that the dad says it.
I sure appreciated that he said it to me. And thank you, son. I've done well. I appreciate that. So,
growing up, my dad was a high school business teacher. And he absolutely loved teaching business, accounting, keyboarding to high school kids. And all 3 of us kids, all inherited the teaching gene. But unlike my other siblings who have all become teachers, I had no desire to become a teacher. Why? Because I saw my dad grading papers endlessly. I saw him spending hours and hours outside the family with school and projects like that. I saw him dealing and fighting with the administration on this and that and the other thing. And all those things turned me off to education. Not the things that both my younger sister and my brother love about teaching.
Yeah.
How have you taken the experiences of ranching that are not glamorous, they are not fun, they are an absolute chore to do, and still help them understand and make them appreciate or even enjoy taking over the family business?
Well, to kind of address that first is, I think that's what's really special about the ag community as a whole is we are going to be really busy. We are going to work after dark. We are going to get up really early in the mornings and have to do stuff. But we can do it with our family there. And we don't have to be, and I brought up the story, before my dad had his really bad accident, he never missed a practice, he never missed a game.
Right.
He was always there for me. And, my mom had the job in town, and so she couldn't always be there. She made most of it. She really did, was really committed, and I love her very much for that, and I'm thankful for it. But my dad made every single one of those. And my daughter can see that. We practiced the last 2 nights, her volleyball. She's getting ready for volleyball to start. She's going to start playing softball. She wants to start trying that out. So we've been, practicing softball as much as we can as well on the side. Being there and being active with them is something that is very, very fortunate for us. And I know I'm typically, I'm probably one of the more busy people there are. I have a lot of social engagements.
Right.
I'm very social butterfly over here.
Right.
We have a lot of events for my wife's work that we have to be at, and then my political side of things as well, and then our businesses, and then my wife's job. And so on top of that, when we go to the kids, you have to be committed to that. And so that's what we are. And the ag community, our businesses, are really kind of in a really good position for most of us that we can really make it work. And so that's a really special thing. And that's one thing I think I said last time is, I'm not getting rich at this right now, maybe someday, but not right now. But I can't trade it for the world for what I get to be able to spend the time with my kids and on the ranch and horseback and doing what I love. I don't really have to work.
So the key is to involve your kids in your business.
And keep them there, keep them happy. I say keep them happy, but keep them there, keep them working with you. And even if it's a bad day and it's a hard day and it's a tough day, at the end of the day, go, man, that was fun working with you. Man, I appreciate you being there. And my daughter always responds, we do high fives, and my son calls me bro. He's like, yeah, bro, that's my bro, and he comes up and gives you high fives now, and it's funny because normally he's in his Superman underwear or something doing it. Yeah, bro, let's go do this, bro, and I'm excited to be able to work with my kids, and I push that excitement onto them, and they like it, and so keeping them engaged and keeping them excited about it. And this day sucks, and it's hot, and it's miserable. Well, if they're really complaining, maybe I don't complain as much. And I work in 105 is just not that hot. It's hot, yeah, but it could be 108, and that's when it gets really hot. And when it gets to 108, well, Bakersfield gets to 110, 111 times. Like, let's get going.
I know. Let's go to Death Valley where it's 115 or 120.
Hey, when we get done here, let's go get some ice cream. Just little things that make it more enjoyable for them. And I think in the end, they'll always end up loving it.
And that brings us to the fortune cookie game. Now, the way the fortune cookie game works is I have a sealed fortune cookie here in my hand. I'm going to give it to our guest who has to unseal it, break over the fortune cookie, read the fortune inside, and say, in my business at the end of it. And then elaborate. So feel free, anytime you're ready, go ahead and break that open. If you want me, I'll go ahead and hold the pieces here for you.
Is that a bite taken out of this?
We are that good. We are that good. Okay, and the fortune says?
You will step on the soil of many countries in your business.
Ooh, how do you do that?
Well, I don't know if you heard the news, but with the big, beautiful bill,
right,
and now with our expanding trade agreements with places like Australia and the Philippines, soon Japan, the European Union, which was the big dog in the fight right now that just happened, and let's just say Trump won on that one.
Right.
We are going to see the beef market jump even more.
Wow.
And so our trade is going to go through the roof, and it's a very exciting times. I mentioned again on the last time we were together, more and more people throughout the world, as they try corn-fed beef, and what we do in the United States, nobody else does it. We're the only ones that do this. There are some places that possibly could, but they don't have the expertise to be able to do it like we've been doing for generations now. And that has produced really high-quality corn-fed beef with the genetics that we've done for generations as well on our cow herd. The world is our oyster, and it's very exciting for us to be setting foot in all other countries and other soils around the world.
Perfect. Now, Visioneers, if you've watched the main show, there's a lot of great questions that get asked. And you think that it's my brilliance that has done that. And I assure you, it's not. Because why? Because there's somebody that's been sitting behind the camera, very dutifully taking notes, and she asked questions that I wouldn't even dream of. So much so that she's got the whole second half of the show. We couldn't do this without questions by Emily.
And Questions by Emily is sponsored by Cazador Consulting. Need elite talent to grow your team? Cazador Consulting Group in Bakersfield is your go-to partner in staffing and direct hires. They don't just fill jobs, they build lasting partnerships by listening to your needs and delivering top-tier customer service. At Cazador, mutual success isn't a goal, it's the standard. This is more than staffing, it's building your team so you can build your business. Visit CazadorConsultingGroup.com or call 877-800-4622. That's CazadorConsultingGroup.com or 877-800-4622, and let's build your future.
Hello Visioneers, and welcome back to Questions by Emily. I'm Emily, I've got questions, and if you've got questions, feel free, drop them in the comments section. We are always up in the comment section looking through those, and we find your thoughts insightful, enjoyable, and sometimes really funny. So we love relaying those to the guests. And with that, I actually have so many different directions and so many different questions I could ask. But something I was learning about recently was that we don't have many people in the trades. Versus, like nowadays, we have a lot more people that go to college, they get a degree.
Versus
like
going, trade school.
Going into the trades and stuff. Yeah. And my generation is starting to feel that, we're starting to notice that. And I think it also leads into people's ability to be tough. And what do you have to say to that?
I agree 100%. I think it really harkens back to micro dirty jobs. You know, him kind of really being the addresser of the issue, like, hey, look at this, look what these people are doing and look what they're making, and kind of that mentality was we had lost. And I agree with that. You know, I went to Cal Poly, and I mentioned my dad had a law degree. You know, my grandfather had a college degree. His brother was an ag teacher. You know, we're pretty fortunate and pretty educated in our family. And I am a huge, on my mom's side of the family, college professors and things of that nature, and attorneys and doctors and nurses and everything like that. I'm a big believer in education, and I am a believer in the statistic that if you do get a college education, you have a leg up instantly. And I'm a believer in that. And so I'm not one of those people that says, hey, look what they're doing. This education is just worthless. And it's because it's not. And it's very important. And I am very demanding of my children that they will get straight A's and they will go on to college. And period. It's not an option for both of my children. And my wife and I agree on that, 100%. But if they then wanted to go to trade school, I have no issue with that as well, because you can go be a lineman for PG&E or SoCal Edison and make well over $100,000 a year. You can go be a welder and make a ton of money. You can go on an oil rig out in the ocean or go overseas and do all these things where they need these specialty people that the other people don't have the skills. They don't know how to weld. They don't know how to hammer a nail, really. People can't do basic electrical work in their homes, and it's in our basic repairs, and it shows in our society. And it's, why did the plumber cost me so damn much money? Well, there's nobody that can do what they do anymore. There's just not a lot of them, and they're overrun, and they need help, but it's not there. And we've gone, I just had this conversation with my wife the other day, and as an advisor for North High's ag department, I was starting to question, did we go too far on offering college courses to these students? I know of a local girl here in town who's about to graduate from UC Santa Barbara, I believe, or Santa Cruz or somewhere on the coast, and she's gonna have 4 degrees and she's 19.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, well, she's a genius. Well, no, she took a bunch of classes in high school and then already had basically 2 4-year degrees by the time she was a freshman at college.
I mean, that's how I graduated a year early from college.
Yeah, and so the question then becomes, are we making it easier for these and actually watering down what a 4-year degree was? Is the 4-year degree today what a 2-year degree was just 10 years ago? And so these are all important questions that we need to ask.
But how does that get to being tough? Because you're in the classroom versus you're out on the ranch. What has that taught you about being tough, about being educated, but also getting in and learning how to hang a nail?
How does that? Well, this is I might upset some people with this, but if I saw that my dad couldn't do anything around the house, and I don't know how I want to say that exactly, but I mean, maybe I would have grown up different.
Yeah.
If my dad paid for somebody else to always do that, I might have a completely different mentality. So
how has that helped you in your business? To see that mentality of work hard, learn something, learn in education, learn outside of education, and put them together?
Well, I think on the business standpoint, it's if I can afford and feel like I want to allow somebody else to do something for me. I have guys that do pipelines for me.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right. But there are other things that I can do myself, and it saves me money, and actually I think I do a better job than even a lot of professionals. And so those are the things that I need to do to save that money. I still might, on a time constraint, hire other people to do it, but for the most part, those are things that I can do. And so that's saving me money, and it's teaching my kids the lessons of what this is and how it does, and we can break it down and go from there. So.
Well, and that's kind of a key for business owners, right? Is just because you can do something in your business doesn't mean you should, but you should probably have a good understanding of your business and how to do everything.
A lot of my friends have restaurants and things like that, and one thing I've noticed with a lot of them, what's the thing? The statistic that most restaurants fail within the first year, or
something like that.
And so, if you can make it through that second year, you're successful, and you're probably going to make it from then on out. Minus some catastrophe like COVID, and the governor saying you can't go anywhere at that time, and you're shut down your business.
Which is rare, but happens.
But it happens. But I see a lot of them, they order from, you know, a certain food place that has everything prepared for them frozen. And so you see those things and you go, okay, well that might work in this one particular model for this kind of restaurant, but this restaurant, how's that really working? And can it sustain itself? And a lot of those ones that I've known through the years or I've watched, it doesn't quite make it. Because you're paying those people, you're not doing the cooking, you're not doing the prep work, you're not getting the food ready for everything that's gonna go into that and putting your heart and soul into it. The company that you bought that from is. And all you're doing is coming in and having somebody else throw it in the fryer or throw it on a grill. And just simple and easy, and then that's it. And so that's kind of one of those things that I don't want to be that in my business. I want to be able to do a business that I can run it, and if push comes to shove and I have to be back on the floor, I can be.
Well, and that goes into details, and I know we were talking about that off camera, about how businesses that are paying attention to details end up succeeding. So how is it, because you've now had 6 generations?
Yeah, I'm the 6th.
6 generations. So what is it about the details, learning the details, that has allowed you to have so many generations in this one business?
Again, that goes back to that critical thinking. When I was a kid, I'd see a neighbor on a ranch doing something, and it was something I want to do, or why don't we run more cows, or why don't we do this, or why are we doing it this way, Dad? And why don't we do it this way? And so he would go, okay, son, this is what you do. Get a pencil and get a piece of paper, and I want you to write it down. And let's write down all of our expenses, and let's write down everything that we're going to do and how that is going to make me money. When you show that will make me a profit, we'll try it. And if it works, we'll keep doing it. But if you can't show me on paper where it makes me a profit first, then we're not going to do it. And so I'd sit down there, and to his credit, he would sit there with me, and we'd talk about every expense and cost that we have on the ranch and things that we did, and paying yourself to make sure that you had that income as well. And so we'd figure that all out and go down the list. And at the end, if it didn't make money or broke even, well, it's not worth it for us. That's why we're not doing that. And so if it made profit, you'd be like, let's try it. Let's check it out and see how that works.
So then how do you teach your kids that you need to be meticulous and do those details and sit down, but you don't want to spend forever running and crunching the numbers until you're blue in the face?
Well, I think our children are going to be very, very lucky. And like I brought up AI. AI is going to allow, right now, just being able to use ChatGPT.
Crazy.
Saves so much time on lengthy emails in business and things like that. You write your email, pop it in there, it autocorrects everything for you, makes it sound more professional.
It's really
there you
nice.
go, quick and easy. It can also run a financial breakdown for you of your business if you want to. Everything is getting geared towards that, and that's why it's important that we all that are in business and have children, and not even just with our children, with our employees, just that aren't our family.
Work smarter, not harder.
Talk to them about, hey, let's sit down and do this by hand. Let's figure it out once in a while. Just take the time to do it so that they learn and understand it. If you keep hiring people and they keep failing, at some point you got to wonder, is it I'm hiring the wrong people, or am I not giving them the opportunity and the tools they need to succeed? And sometimes it's the wrong person. Sometimes you need to help that person find their happiness elsewhere because they're obviously not happy there with you.
Exactly.
But sometimes you have to be a better boss and a better educator in helping them get to that point where you want them to be.
Very true. Well, then I would be remiss if I also didn't ask this question, because there is huge debate on either side of the community on it. But you're talking about the corn-fed beef going out to different people in the world. You've got some movements in America that are saying, let's go back to primal eating, don't corn feed your beef. And then you've got other people who are saying, this is amazing, this is the best thing ever. And then you've got some people in the middle who will kind of go either way. So I guess what would be your take on either side of the argument?
I always try to keep a level head and clear thinking on things. But this, because really, I'm in a unique position being that guy that's in a cow-calf operation. We're the beginning stage.
Yeah.
If I got to go grass-fed, I can very easily switch to grass-fed.
Really? It's that easy?
Well, yeah, because everything's grass-fed until it goes to the feedlot.
Well, and then there's the difference between the grass-fed and then finished.
Well, so grass-fed can be finished, but it's finished on grass.
Oh, okay.
So it's a different type of finish. You're not going to get the marbling necessarily. Some claim that you do, and you do to some extent. But for the most part, it's still finished. but it's just not corn-fed finished, which to me and my palate is better.
What about the person who's allergic to corn?
But it's not gluten beef. It was just a product and the protein from that corn and other nutrients that came, the starch that came to feed that animal and help it grow and build that muscle and that extra fat. So you're not getting any gluten or any other things like that from the beef. You're just getting beef. You're getting the protein and those essential amino acids, which really, if people really break it down, the one true superfood in the world is red meat. It has, and especially beef and buffalo,
protein.
it has more protein and more essential amino acids and vitamins and nutrients than any other food source in there is. And it's nutrient dense, which means you're eating less calories. And so we talk about an obesity issue within our nation. Like if more and more people went to a higher protein diet, especially using a lot of beef in it, we're going to see the changes. And so I actually switched to a low carb diet about 3 years ago, and I've lost over 100 pounds.
Wow.
Of course, I go to the gym every day too, so that helps.
Makes a difference.
And it's easy for me because I love beef. So,
Yeah.
But those are all things that are healthy, and you're actually seeing Bobby Kennedy, Secretary Kennedy, actually start to push that diet a little more. And it's starting to actually see local cardiologists here in Kern County start to actually bring it up more and more studies are starting to show that, hey, it doesn't have an impact on the cardiovascular system like they said it does. Those studies are old. If we just bring down and actually just do a beef diet and show it, or a chicken or a fish and actually show it, we're not seeing those negative impacts that they have.
How is this helping business owners then? This
well,
research?
from the beef industry, it's helping more and more all the time because people are starting to go, hey, I'm in Miami, Florida, and I'm wearing a cowboy hat at a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
And a guy goes, what do you do? And I told him, cattle rancher in California. And cattle rancher in California, first off, is the first question. So you got to kind of explain that. Like, really? Like at Hollywood? Like, well, no, there's two Californias. He goes, I've been on the carnivore diet this whole time. And I was like, for how long? For a year. And how are you doing? I'm great. I had heart problems and things like that. It's all gotten better. And I said, do you get bored with it? No, whatever. But everywhere I go, you start to see like people start to talk about it and want to relate to you about it. Because, hey, you're a cowboy, hey, you've got a cattle ranch, hey, look how cool this is, and they're excited about it because they're feeling good.
Well, it's nice to be an expert in your industry.
Right. And I'm not pro carnivore diet. I'm not pro veganism. I'm for whatever makes you as an individual happy. I want the individual to be happy. But I don't want anybody to tear another person down or what their likes and wants are. That's up to them. We'll allow them to have that opportunity. And that really goes back to the same thing of the corn-fed versus the grass-fed. It's your palate. It's what you as an individual want. So I could have two beautiful New York steaks here, and you may choose the grass-fed, and I'll probably choose the corn-fed. Or we may both choose the corn-fed, which is mostly happening most of the time. But it's up to the individual palate because people like it. I had Australians that lived with us on the ranch for a year and worked for me and became great, great friends. And they always told me, we still love the grass-fed beef. And they'd grown up with it. That's what they liked. That's what was nostalgic to them. And they liked it better.
Yeah.
And that's great. But as we move into these other markets like Australia, we're going to start putting a little more pressure on them. And you're going to start seeing the younger movement start to have a little more flavor to it and see that and kind of change, I think.
Well, and with that, if Visioneers want to get in touch with you, they want to buy a cow from you for their entire family, how do they do that?
Well, I don't sell individually to families or anything like that.
Okay.
So you'll have to go to a grocery store, you'll have to go to a fine restaurant.
Good
Snake
to know.
River Farms, excellent choice. But you can follow me on Instagram, Jack J. Lavers, Facebook, same thing. And LinkedIn as well as Jack Lavers. So
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for being on Meat and Potatoes.
hey, thanks for having me. Loved it, and I love the name of the show.
So do we.
Yeah, meat and salad next time.
Yeah. Well, and with that, thank you, Visioneers. Another great episode. I'm sure there are going to be many comments because we want to hear your thoughts. And also, don't forget to check out our main show that drops every week. This week, we talk about how to get that one thing you need to grow a strong and profitable business, and we have a lot of fun with the Visioneer game. It is going to be a wonderful episode. And with that, we will see you next week on our Meat and Potatoes and our main show. See you there.